Hi, Niall here from Corec. This video demonstrates how to generate contours and surfaces in TBC. So before we create our contours, we need to generate a surface. To do that, we go into the Surfaces tab and over to Create Surface. Give your surface a name. I'll just call it New Surface 1. Classification only really applies to a report being generated after a volume calculation. This will be the heading on the actual surface, whether it be an original surface, a design, an as-built, a stockpile or whatever, but in our case here we're only generating contour lines from it, so we can just, it doesn't really matter, leave it as unclassified. Colour is the colour of the mesh, and you have the survey date and time here. So members to form a surface, a couple of different ways of selecting the data you need to be included in your surface. You can either do a rectangular or polygon selection around it, so rectangular selection will be clicking in here and then just dragging a rectangular selection around, so it's only including the points you've selected there in the surface. Or you can select polygon if you're dealing with an irregular shape, so you can just drag for your first line and then a couple of clicks to, and just double click to finish. So you've just selected this bit in the middle. Or you can go in here to options, because the survey, the feature codes have been processed already, as you can see. So if I go into options and you can hit select by layer, here are all the layers of the different codes that the survey was done in. So for example, if I only wanted to include spot levels in this surface, I can just click on spot levels, so it's just selected every spot level that I surveyed, and close. So you can see it was selected 100 points within the survey. That's what I'll use for this example, and just hit OK. Okay, so you can see it's generated a mesh here, so it's basically just triangulated a mesh between the closest points to each other. So straight away you can see here it's joined long lines to these ones here that you don't really want, because we haven't surveyed any data within this area. But there's tools within the Surface tab to tidy up your surface. And that's generally the first thing I'd look at here. There's a tool in Surfaces called Trim Surface Edge. So into Trim Surface Edge, you select the surface you want to trim, in our case New Surface 1, the one we just created. So you click into the outside point, click into the outside, drag the line and click again into the inside point, and you can just continue to do that until you're happy with the surface. You could probably trim this one back a touch too. Couple of things you can do to check the data to make sure there's no spikes or random points with a pole height error or anything like that. The first thing you can do is you can have a look at a surface slicer view. So go into the surface slicer tool. So you have the plan view screen up here and the slicer profile view down the bottom here, so you can see from and to. So if I click into the from, if I wanted to generate a slice going from here to here, I just click in plan view and click here, and it generates profile view or cross section view of that particular slice. And you can just keep on clicking and check at different points through your data. That's one way of doing it. But the more preferred way would be just looking at the data in 3D. So that can be found in a couple of different places underneath the Surfaces tab again, 3D view. So I have plan view and 3D. And to my 3D view and just flip it. And just have a look at the surface you've generated to make sure there's no points sticking up or spiking up like they shouldn't be. So that looks pretty good. In a case that you had to remove a point from a surface, but you didn't really want to delete it from the job, there's a tool in here called Add Remove Surface Members. Again, underneath the Surfaces tab, Surface Members here. So if you hover over it, you can click on points to add or remove from a surface. So say for example I wanted to remove maybe this point here in the corner from the surface. I don't want to delete it from the job, but I just want to remove it from the surface. Say it was a row point. So what you can do is you can do this in 3D view, or you can do it in plan view. I'll do it in 3D. So members to add or remove, you just click into the box here again and pick on the point selected, and once the point selected, you can just hit remove. So just remove that from the surface. You can see here it's defaulted back to my the lines that I've trimmed before for some reason. I can trim those back in a second. If you wanted to add that back, you can just click on the point and add back to the surface. So just trim those lines back. Okay, so I'm happy enough with that. Just to show you here in Project Explorer, I have a new category here now called Surfaces, and within that I have my new surface one that I've just created. If I double click on this, it brings up the properties of my surface. A couple of things you can alter within there, but I'm happy enough, that's fine for the moment. So surface created. Now the next step is to generate your contour lines. So generate your contours. Again, under the Surfaces tab, create contours. Select the surface that you need to create contours from. In my case, new surface 1. Name, contours, contour interval. So how often would you like a contour? In this case, I'll just say 1 meter and see what it comes out like. Index frequency. So you have a choice of applying this or not. I think I will for this, so I'm saying here for every 5th contour is going to be a major contour, and ones in between are going to be minor ones. So put this on a layer called contours, that's fine. You can create a new layer for that if you like. Select your color, your line weight, index contour color. So this would be the color of the major contour lines. Change the colour of the major line to just pick a blue there. You can colour contours by elevation, but that'll get rid of these two, so I usually uncheck that. Smooth contours I usually check, and pick your text size on the contour. Distance between labels, this is going to be your distance between the elevations on the contour, elevation labels. 20 meters is okay. I usually check this as well, label and the contour. So at the bottom here you can see a summary. Max elevation of 42.733, minimum elevation of 32.698, and it's estimating that there's going to be 10 contours generated from my contour interval of 1 meter there. So I'll go okay and that, see what it look like. So to see this a little bit better, you can go into your filter manager and just temporarily turn off the surface in the background. So underneath my surfaces section, turn off your surface, so you can see my blue ones are my major ones. So every 5th contour I have a major with the elevation on it, and the green ones are my minor contours. So if you wanted to make any changes to the contours, you don't have to. Well, you can go in here to Project Explorer. There's your contours there. You can go in and right click and delete and just do it again, or you can just double click on the contours and you get the properties up here on the right hand side. So say for example I wanted to change the contour interval here from 1 meter to half a meter, 0.5, and maybe I wanted to change the color of the index one to something different. I can just make the changes here, close. You can see nothing's happened there initially. What you have to do is rebuild the contours. So if you right click on the contours and hit rebuild, see it's changed it there for me. So I have contours now every half meter, and my index contours, the major contours, are kind of an orangey colour now.